Hi everybody, I'm Tony Goldmark, aka Some Jerk with a Camera, and I'd like to give a special welcome to the thousands of new subscribers that I have thanks to the Nostalgia Critic co-review of The Sorcerer's Apprentice. That was a lot of fun to do, but you might well be wondering, well, what is this channel? What is my channel all about? And it's all about theme parks. My main show is called Some Jerk with a Camera, and it's an elaborate, allegedly comedic review show about the various attractions and paraphernalia at places like Disneyland and Disney World in Florida and Universal Studios in Hollywood and Florida. I've done 3 seasons of that show, and a 4th one is coming in 2018. But in the meantime, I also do a bunch of smaller shows on the side, like State of the Parks, which discusses news and rumors of upcoming happenings at the theme parks, and of course One Movie Later, where I vlog about movies in theaters now that have some sort of theme park connection. But another thing I do is on-location vlogs of new stuff that opens at the parks. About a year and a half ago, a bunch of stuff around the Rivers of America part of Frontierland closed to make way for construction of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, which of course opens in 2019. The Disneyland Railroad, the Mark Twain Riverboat, Tom Sawyer Island, and the nighttime spectacular Fantasmic all closed for a while, but they all just reopened about a month ago. Unfortunately, I'm a Southern California resident and a cheapskate, so my annual pass was blocked out for most of that, but it just reopened a few days ago, so here I am, and I'm joined by these fellers.
Oh God, he's doing it again.
This is David GANSSLE, aka Doggans.
That's me.
And this is Charlie CALLAHAN, aka Spazz Master. Now, a few years ago, we all participated in a massive Fantasmic co-review for this guy's channel, and so we are all here today, along with some other friends, to vlog about the new Fantasmic and the various changes they've made. What do you have to say about that, Dave?
Well, I'm glad I'm not editing this one because that was 2 years of my life I'll never get back.
Right, this will just be 2 years of my life I'd never get back.
And not in 25 parts either.
Right, only 37. This is going to be the first video of mine that a lot of people are going to view, and I want to be accessible to them, so let's take it easy on the inside jokes that only fans of mine would understand. How about that? Because, you know, that might actually encourage people to go watch all my other videos, and that would just be a waste of their time. So, you know, we don't want to do that or anything.
Yeah, binge watch them.
It would just be alienating, you know, I don't want to do anything.
Yeah, we don't want them to waste time and just on that whole massive catch-up.
Catch-up. Let's start with the railroad.
It's been a long time since I've seen Main Street from this elevation. So much nicer when you're not among the people.
When you're above them.
When I'm above
psychologically. Between New Orleans Square and Mickey's Toontown, they've added a new section of it, Nature's Wonderland, in reference to what Frontierland used to be before it got all big thunderized. It'll be nice to see the Primeval World diorama once again because those dinosaurs are not in Epcot anymore.
That's true. So that's another one-up we have on Florida.
I mean, it was always nice to not have to sit through 45 minutes of Ellen DeGeneres doing her sea material.
No, her sea material was in the Living Seas when she was
Oh, right. But that wasn't her voice.
That's true. It was Jennifer Hale. One side of Epcot got the real Ellen, and then the popular Ellen character didn't get the real Ellen.
Yeah, exactly. You know what they should have done is just reuse Ellen's dialogue from Energy Adventure, just put it in Dory's mouth and have her say, like, yo, must have been a big delivery room.
Dory swimming around. No one locked their doors in New York.
There's never been a train like this before. Someone's got to be the one at the head of the line to first see Mrs. Train.
We're at the New Orleans Square station now, and they added a puma between, or panther, or whatever it was.
It could have been any of several different jungle cats. The important thing is that's the first hint of new stuff.
We got rocks and trees and trees and rocks and rocks and trees and trees. Don't forget rocks!
Alright, so we just rode the Disneyland Railroad new for 2017 with Nature's Wonderland. What do we all think?
Really cool. I approve.
It was pretty. It was like everything you remembered it being when you were a kid, but more. It's like there's waterfalls now, and there's the old shack, but it's not burning anymore. Just nice views all around. Just very pretty landscape.
To see Frontierland so open. It felt like that kind of big, grand, majestic establishing shot you see in those big old school westerns.
Yeah.
The scenery was gorgeous. The rock work's really lovely. The waterfalls are beautiful. I think I expected to see more animals on the Nature's Wonderland part.
It seems like the train is timed so that you're passing a boat at the same time.
That did happen both times. The first time we got the Columbia at the same time, second time the Mark Twain. Maybe that's why it made so many unscheduled stops. Still co-opting indigenous culture, of course, but just a wee bit, you know. I mean, it's kind of a no-win situation in a way.
Any depiction you have is gonna suffer from some romanticism.
They err too far on the side of caution these days by just depicting the blandest thing possible, which also kind of turns them into just statues, really, which is what they are.
You still have the native guy on the cliff waving, "Get out, you stupid white man."
Yeah.
Oh, hello, I didn't hear you break into my country.
We rode it around a time and a half with us passing from Main Street to Toontown.
I like the music stings they added as you pull into each station.
Yeah.
It's sort of theme music for each land. So like as we pulled into Toontown, it was playing Casey Jr. As we pulled into Tomorrowland, it was playing Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow.
For New Orleans Square, it was just playing, you know, just ragtime nonsense. The train turns left now at one point.
Much like Derek Zoolander, the train finally learned how to turn left.
Dear God, it's beautiful.
This tunnel signals our transition from the frontier to another kind of gear. One shall find on Mickey and Minnie Mouse.
That frontier pun was so bad, for a second I thought I wrote it.
We go from frontier to another type of ear, the type on Mickey and Minnie. Is that the best they could do? Is that really the best transition?
From the trees of nature's wonderland, they made the pencils to draw the cartoons in Mickey's Toontown. We've truly made a mockery out of this continent, and speaking of mockery, you know what else was a good western? True Grit, starring Jeff Bridges, who was in R.I.P.D. with Kevin Bacon, who was in Balto with Bob Hoskins, who was in Who Framed Roger Rabbit with Mickey's Toontown. They plus Grand Canyon and Primeval World added some animation to the backdrops of birds and pterodactyls and
subtle, but it worked so
and
well.
lightning and
that lightning strike was surprising.
One lightning that was not subtle at all. It was very loud. I'm kind of surprised that we didn't hear a bunch of babies crying.
I heard at least one child cry. They at least gave the dinosaurs some WD-40 because they're moving a bit smoother.
They spruced them up more than Universal spruced up Jurassic Park dinosaurs anytime
in the
recently.
last decade.
Yeah, those are still pretty rusted.
It's a train. It's the best one you're gonna get outside of Knott's, I guess.
I was really upset there was in fact no drops of Jupiter in her hair. Yeah.
Go lay on the tracks. Need to grow this thing so I can twirl it. It's the one ride you can stay on as long as you want, as far as I'm aware.
I've made at least like 4 grand circles at a time just to get a nap.
Yeah.
It is the best place for a nap.
Until the lightning crash wakes you up now. Maybe that's the purpose of it.
I think so.
We're gonna ride the boats, we're gonna go to Tom Sawyer Island, and until then, come on, ride the train, and ride it, come on, ride the train. And did you ever go to dance along the light of day? No, never mind. We found a stagecoach. Someone abandoned it here. This thing stalled on the way to Minnie's Haberdashery. Totally not a Knott's Berry Farm logo. This trail is eventually going to lead to Star Wars, but now all we got is Star Wall. Here's my big gripe with this particular part of the trail. That rock work over there does not match this rock work. This is way too smooth.
It's nice and shady.
It's nice and shady, but they could have made it a little more jagged, a little more rough edges like this. See, this doesn't look like it belongs in the same place.
Well, Tony, it could also be a big spinning rock.
You know, it's unfair that you have your girlfriend here and you're rubbing that in. You know, it's like I've been trying, I've been putting myself out there. But there will never be another spinning rock. Oh yeah, we're supposed to not be doing inside jokes. None of that. Shut this down, shut this all down. Look, we all know they went into the future and took this photograph, exactly, so we know this is exactly how it's going to look.
But this takes place a long time
They went into the future to get the photo of a
Doors open. Doors open, but it leads to more wall.
Let's just keep trying combinations until we get in.
Until you see a construction site, which looks nothing like this.
This is going to be amazing. Passing under the train tracks like that. You can imagine how the land is just going to open up beyond once you walk past there to what's now a wall. Once you walk through that wall. I'm going to walk through the wall.
Walk through the wall!
I am one with the force is with me. I am one with the force. Well, I never liked you anyway, Force.
The force is at least 2 or 3 with you. We got enough people here. I think we can break the wall down. We just all got to do it together. You're all.
2.
Where's everybody going? We are about to ride the Mark Twain Riverboat, which for about a year and a half was just a stationary thing, but now it actually moves around rivers of adventure yet again.
I'm still getting used to the fact there's not a casino and a buffet in there, because that's all my knowledge of riverboats right there.
Tom Hanks and J.K. Simmons are going to tunnel into it, and but then no one's going to see it.
Hey guys, is that Ivory done adjusting your bustle?
I said no inside jokes. Now stop that right now.
Sad thing is, we're in Disneyland. All jokes are inside jokes. Because all jokes are inside.
That wasn't even a play on anything. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Mark Twain. That's Tom Sawyer's Island. They still have not added an animatronic Jonathan Taylor Thomas from Tom and Huck, and I want my money back.
Dave, I keep telling you, it's Zachary Taylor Thomas.
Off the starboard side is Pirate's Lair at Tom Sawyer Island.
I think this stuff is more interesting over here. I'm going to be these people's friend. We just rode the Mark Twain Riverboat. Nature's Wonderland stuff looks even better from the boat angle, because you're only seeing a little bit of it when you're riding it on the train.
It just makes Frontierland seem so big and majestic and monumentous. This is the first time Frontierland has felt to me like it captured that kind of big, wide spaces of possibility that being actually in nature in the American West feels like.
The announcer actually said at that moment, like, I've been down this river for years now.
I've been navigating these parts for years now, but I never get tired of taking in the breathtaking beauty of the Columbia River.
That stuff just opened a month ago. You liar. You lying liar. But you know what? It's like, I can see how someone would buy it.
One of the things I always appreciated about the narration was how it used the attractions in the area as landmarks in the ride's own story. The Mark Twain narrator is like, well, over there, that mansion is haunted, and oh, over there, they say that that's where critters sing on Splash Mountain.
Did they even mention the mansion?
I don't think they didn't. Nope. They didn't mention the mansion this time.
They didn't mention the mansion.
They didn't mention the mansion.
They put in a nice little funny detail.
We got a beaver trying to end his life.
Oh no.
We went over that thing how many times?
The funny thing about that joke is I think they knew that a lot of people would be riding the train first, so they wouldn't notice it immediately, and then they see, oh, we were in mortal danger all along if you buy any of this. The fact that you don't see the deer move at all does kind of take you out of it a little. And I don't know how you would solve that problem, because animatronics would just get wet right there by the water.
They can't do much more than like,
They look like they're deer in the headlights.
So what you're saying is Frontierland is full of ghost cars. Hey look, the Winklevosses are losing.
Though his mind is not for rent, don't put him down as arrogant.
So, we've been trapped on this island for 7 weeks now. I'm pretty sure this is purgatory. Same to you. One of the things I always liked about Tom Sawyer Island is it felt like one of the few places in the park that offered some semblance of solitude. You know, even though there are other people, it's not as densely packed as the rest of the park, so you can just kind of like find these quiet little areas and just sort of relax for a bit.
it's one of the few places in the park that's almost completely self-directed. There's supervision, but it's not conscious supervision. So not only can you go off and be by yourself, you can be by yourself with at least an illusion of control.
I think this boat is stuck.
Yep.
I think it's running around or something.
Abandoned ship.
Okay, I'll swim out and push. Bold explorer Charlie Callahan risks life and limb on the world's biggest cliff. There we have it. Fraud exposed at the polls. You are Polish, aren't you? So yeah, this whole island is my house. Yeah, I've lived here ever since I was abandoned here as a child. It's just me and the demons. And of course the barn. But of course the barn came to life the other year and it jumped into the ocean. Along with the demons. And me. So just make yourself at home, help yourself to a cheese stick, whatever. Yes, one of those pioneer log cabin handcrafted accessibility lifts.
This is the very lift that Davy Crockett used when he was in a wheelchair at the Alamo.
Well, I thought this is how he was born on a mountaintop in Tennessee.
He was born on an elevator in Tennessee.
His mother was pregnant, so that's the only way they could get her up the mountain.
Being pregnant's a crime now.
This elevator is actually how he was raised in the woods, so he knew every tree.
I'm talking about Mike Huckabee, right?
Yep.
Reshaping the island was quite beneficial for, you know, the construction of Galaxy's Edge and, you know, rerouting the train to actually make a left turn and create this beautiful landscape. But unfortunately, there was a casualty. You may remember this was the location of a graveyard.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Right here.
Rest in peace, dead people.
Wait, are they all alive now? Is that how this works?
They
All the
may
dead
have been
people
shipped
come
over
back-
to the Haunted Mansion, so now
They all
it's
come
like,
back to life?
Now it's like 1003 over there.
Well, here's Charlie the Magnificent Explorer with his foot on a real rock and... Uh-oh, wait a minute, what's this? Oh, the illusion is ruined.
Watch out for snakes.
We're standing where Fantasmic will happen tonight.
Yep. There's a dragon beneath our feet. But we didn't really go into enough in our original video what a bold move it was to use a massive, like to basically
A guest-facing area.
Yeah, basically build a new massive show stage full of hidden effects and everything that was still accessible to guests during the daytime.
You come to Tom Sawyer Island and you look at it and you think, there's no way they're gonna do a show that elaborate on this space. There's just no way. You look around and how are they gonna do that? And then they pull it off.
The fact that they keep it all so well tucked away and hidden away during the day is impressive considering just the amount of props and sets that Fantasmic uses.
Because he lacks imagination.
That's an inside joke. I'm sorry, I'll go jump in the river.
No, we gotta dry clean that.
So this right here is the box where all the explosives are kept, all the pyro. You are leaning on explosives right now.
Boom.
Hey, I do that every day.
At Starbucks?
Yep.
And I found a mortar cap.
Oh, because they come raining down every night, I
Pretty
suppose?
much.
In fact, the roof here is littered with them.
There's no wrong way to eat a Reese's.
We realize that hatch slides down and that's where Mickey pops up at the end of the show.
Ah, now this is a view.
You know, call me a Disney hipster, but I miss the wharf walls.
It's what Walt would have wanted.
Right? This is the Critter Country entrance into what will be Galaxy's Edge. And just to put things in perspective, we are under the train tracks right now.
Yep.
We are at the exact elevation that we would be in the Haunted Mansion after we go down the elevator in the stretching room.
I'm just enjoying this peaceful, quiet garden right now because in a year or so it's just going to be crowded with people trying to cram into Galaxy.
I'm 2 years or so. So remember earlier when I said how amazing it was that they pulled this show together on the stage they have? Well, the dark side of that is that this area was not built to accommodate a popular live show like this. So as a result, getting around this area this time of night when Fantasmic is going on is a complete maze. It's not very pleasant and I don't entirely recommend it, but you know, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, it's almost like Florida had the right idea by giving it its own stage and its own seating area. And
That's crazy. You're crazy. Stop being crazy. We just saw Fantasmic, me and Charlie and Dave and Haley here, and wow, that was cool. There were some specific elements I liked more in the original show, but overall, this is not only the best Fantasmic show I've ever seen, it might be the best World of Color show I've ever seen too. Like, this almost makes World of Color redundant. Because it kind of combines everything that was great about the original Fantasmic and World of Color into one kind of cool mishmash of both of them, and it works like gangbusters.
I loved the original Fantasmic so much that I dedicated 3 videos to it. 3 videos that had to be collaborations with 2 of my favorite content creators just to do it justice. If I had seen this Fantasmic first, I might have just done Fantasmic instead of doing the rest of Dave Does Disney. Like, this is every bit as impressive, I think, as a theme park show can be. And there are certainly details I missed about the original Fantasmic, but It'll take a couple more viewings for me to tell how many of those are actually because I like them better and how much are just because I'm nostalgic for the old version. California's Fantasmic was not the Fantasmic that needed to be updated, but I'm kind of glad it was.
I mean, yeah, it's good. World of Colors, but no, absolutely not. I think, honestly, I think this blows World of Color out of the water. Literally. Yeah.
Every time I think, it's Fantasmic. It's just some cheesy clip show with the Mickey doing the thing. And then every time I get the feels and it just blows you away. I don't know how it does it, but it just hits you right there and you get this huge adrenaline rush by the end. It's amazing.
The hour leading up to the show starting, I'm always like, this wasn't worth it, dealing with the hassle of the crowds to be here, to stand in this place or to sit on this uncomfortable bench, to stay at the park this late. Like, I should have just gone home before the show started. And then by the end of the show, I'm like, no, this was fucking worth it.
And this was better. This was better than old Fantasmic, so I got more of an adrenaline rush.
And it did seem like they were using a lot of the assets that they had, like, already created for World of Color, but, you know, just repurpose them for Fantasmic, which, yay.
Every movie that's represented in the original is still represented here, just some of them more truncated representation.
Right. Except, of course, that big Song of the South segment, but we won't talk about that. This show is just bigger and better than what came before. Not quite perfect, but what is. If only my feet didn't get so easily tired. If only this version was in Florida where you could actually sit on a bench.
The only crime that this commits is not having an arena to be shown in.
Right.
Because this is arena-worthy stuff.
Absolutely.
They should take it on tour and put it in, like, the Superdome.
Right off the bat, before even the first chord of the music, they had a lot more sparklies, like, projected on the island. They had lasers and animated projections all sprinkling around. Mickey no longer just appears on the island right at the start. We actually saw him walk out onto the island, which was a little disappointing to me.
I didn't notice.
But they did add a lot more bits throughout the show where Mickey appears and disappears suddenly.
There's a brilliant moment where the fountains actually formed the shape of the sorcerer hat.
Yes.
Like, it's
so cool.
Like, it formed a perfect, like, triangle like that, and it projected, like, the moons, the Lucky Charms flavors onto the thing. I loved how the flower imagery this time was a lot more kaleidoscopic.
Yeah.
The Lion King part I thought was a little short. Lion King was basically just there to introduce the Jungle Book / Pink Elephants bit.
Yes, but Ka kind of did that better.
The other monkeys on the floats with King Louie were just can't wait to be king style.
It came from the jungle sequence to Pink Elephants, and the transition music was a haka, which is a Polynesian war chant.
Maybe I'm just old, but God, do I prefer the hard rock Pink Elephants on Parade to the dubstep Pink Elephants on Parade.
I wouldn't call this so much dubstep as it is kind of like trance.
It's very trancy.
It uses more EDM than the kind of AC/DC rock they were going with.
And I get it, like, they put the electric guitars into the original to appeal to the youth of the day, just as they're making it trance to appeal of the youth to today. Thematically, maybe trance music fits more with, like, the surrealistic vibe of maybe being in a club on too many drugs or something, which is what the Pink Elephant sequence was all about.
Yeah, it's precisely what that is.
So I guess I get it from that perspective, but I still like electric guitars more. And I'm a music snob, and I'm putting my foot down.
Yeah.
The only part I cared about was they still go pachyderms, and I'm good with that. Did you guys miss the Pinocchio cutouts on stage at all?
Not really.
I would say I didn't miss that segment in particular. I only missed having another physical effect there. They added a bit with, live action Mickey on stage interacting with animated Genie from Aladdin and stuff.
I love that part!
As far as I could tell, all of the Genie's dialogue was just lifted from the movie. It was all Robin Williams, as far as I could tell. It might have been Jim Meskimen, but I'm pretty sure it was all Robin Williams.
And he turns into Dolan and Gooby.
Yeah.
This one, in general, did try for a tad more cohesiveness to the narrative. It's still the greatest hits montage,
But they're more
that it is. But
thematically connected.
they're more thematically connected, and we actually see more segues between them, where new animation of Mickey is showing up and bringing the next scene.
Sorcerer Mickey, like, going throughout all of the segments.
The Florida version added one of those, and that was Mickey aboard the flying carpet.
Right,
That's
right,
the
right,
Cable
yeah.
Wonders scene, but that was it.
But that was original Mickey, that wasn't Sorcerer Mickey.
It's a dream. Sure,
Yeah.
why not?
I felt like in the old Fantasmic, they kind of strung the different sections together with, sure, this feels right, and going intuitively did work kind of on a subconscious level, but now they're like, no, we're putting all this together, we're putting all the ocean stuff together. It's not just the sexy angelfish. It's like that and Finding Nemo and Little Mermaid.
One of the things that surprised me most about this incarnation of the show was how much new animation there was.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because even the shot in the original of just Mickey's eyes in the dark
That was
is
taken from Brave Little
Taylor. Here, I think they reanimated the
They
eyes
did,
in the dark
yeah.
for
They
this
didn't
one.
have to. They could have just reused the Brave Little Taylor eyes, but they were like, no, there's a better way we can do this.
In 20 years from now, the pirate scene might not seem quite as cool anymore.
Hell, now it doesn't seem all that cool anymore,
Yeah.
but, you know, except as nostalgia, I guess. But
Agree to disagree.
well,
The original Fantasmic, they basically just had the water screens.
And that's it.
And that's it. But now they have like laser projection. They've projected like flames onto the cabin itself. They actually put up a scrim behind the cabin.
Yeah, the
which
projection mapping that they use for the castle.
And I think that scrim also solves a lot of the problem of viewing Fantasmic because it's very hard to see Mickey, but now you can see, you have more context clues to go by with the scrim. So I feel like they're so much more confident in how they can project an image. They don't rely on the water screens as much, so they're able to use the water screens as more story directed. They can just build up some water vapor and then just laser projected on there, and it works just as well.
And also lighting on the individual floats and the Columbia as well. Because during the pirate segment, like every time a lightning bolt hit, it flashed white light on the ship itself.
the Columbia is the ship of the damned.
It's
It
the
looks
Pearl.
pretty
They
incredible.
turned her into the Pearl in the big scene where Elizabeth runs out onto the deck when everyone's skeletons, and it's so cool to actually see that in real
But
life.
Jack Sparrow's thrown into the mix. Zach was telling us earlier that he actually preferred the original Peter Pan from the original because it was a little more well lit, and this one, because it's a darker tone, you can't quite tell what's happening as well, and I don't disagree with that.
They're both kind of the same to me as far as quality, so it comes down to preference. It's going back to Black Pearl, so this is my favorite iteration of Pirates, and so I'm good with it. I'm having fun. Yay me.
The Peter Pan segment was a little more kinetic. This one, it just had Jack Sparrow like lumbering along the ropes at the top of the ship. And he's like, oh, you wanted the thing, I'm just going to walk forward some more while Elizabeth is doing all the work. No, in the Peter Pan segment, a lot more was going on. You had Peter Pan battling Hook, you had Wendy battling the pirates, you
Wendy
had
didn't battle
Smee.
nothing. She sat on a gangplank and flailed.
She battled
She did-
pirates.
Well, at
And
the
you
end-
also had...
At the end, it led to a moment where Hook was dangling off the bottom while the crocodile
Exactly.
followed them.
You
It's
have the
like-
crocodile
didn't have
behind
anything
the
like
ship
that.
as well.
Yeah, you make a good point. I think I do prefer the Peter Pan to Pirates.
Maybe they could bring back the Peter Pan part sometime, or maybe not. I don't know. They could put something new in there. Or maybe it'll just be like this until the next massive refurb. I don't know.
I really love the fact that this actually gave Mickey not only a purpose, but a personality. Like,
More than the original.
more than the original.
Elaborate.
Just because Mickey was kind of just there as, I'm mascot, I'm Mickey, I'm doing a thing. Oh no, I'm Impero, but I have to defeat you. Now it's like, no, we are going to literally fuck with you now. Because you want to delve deeper into this dream of yours.
Yeah, that actually made it more like the original Sorcerer's Apprentice short, where Mickey's own hubris kind of causes the downfall. You could go deeper, blah.
There's
And
another realm.
There's another realm, and he's like, "Are you strong enough to brave it?" And Mickey's like, "Sure, why not?" And then that's when the villains show up, and I really like that as like the introduction of the villain segment because it feels more organic and it feels kind of more of an arc than Pretty Ladies, suddenly Angry Witch.
Our entry into the Magic Mirror is, instead of talking to the witch, the mirror's talking to Mickey, which means we get new mirror dialogue. which means we don't have Tony J anymore, unfortunately.
For a moment, when the mirror was going to pull him into the other realm, I almost thought he was going into the new Mickey shorts. Like, that's the new...
Oh my god, that would have been brilliant.
And I love that it didn't repeat Florida's mistake of putting every villain in there.
Yes.
It kept it to just the Wicked Witch and Maleficent and Ursula. And that...
And Chernabog.
And Chernabog, right. And that's enough. You don't need to put Jafar and the sheep from Zootopia and King Candy.
I do miss the Snow White Wicked Queen turning into the witch.
They cut the Queen into Witch transformation. They also replaced Snow White, Someday My Prince Will Come, with Tangled.
I thought the musical arrangement segueing from Part of Your World into At Last I See the Light was a lot clunkier. It felt like a much more abrupt gear shift.
It's really weird to hear The Last I See the Light as this kind of Whitney Houston Oscar bait power ballad.
Yeah.
Like that needs an acoustic guitar stat.
I guess because Tangled's more of a straight up love story, but I'm a little surprised there was no Frozen in this. Just because that's such a much bigger movie.
Yeah, none whatsoever.
Maybe they were afraid of Frozen getting a little overexposed at this point, but that's never seemed to be a problem for them before.
There really aren't any romantic love songs in Frozen.
Well, at least none that don't get subverted by the end.
Exactly.
And I can't think of another place they would put any other song or part in Frozen.
The sweeping orchestral score for the songs they do at that point, it's kind of hard for Imagine. You know it's crazy, we finish each other's sandwiches.
Yeah, there's
your imagination.
But the new Aladdin bit I liked right before the floats come out with the magic carpet on stage. Wouldn't be surprised if that was the same carpet
from the Hyperion.
Yeah, that used to be floating around above the Hyperion.
Probably was. Maybe they always did this from the original version, but I honestly don't remember them doing so much with silhouettes. At the end, when Sorcerer Mickey's doing his thing, you see his silhouette projected against the back on the white screen, and that looks just as compelling as Mickey himself. And another bit where they did that, they deliberately arranged the lighting so that when the Wicked Witch is cackling, you see her silhouette against a tree. At the very end, there's this really cool moment when he's saying, "Some imagination, huh?" And you hear just faintly the strains of the Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Yes, I love that.
I kind of wonder how the people who run World of Color feel about this show, because it's like, well, thanks for stealing all our thunder, assholes.
Well, I mean, World of Color is always constantly getting updated anyway. It's only a matter of time before they find a way to plus that. Plus, because, you know, Paradise Pier is becoming Pixar Pier soon.
Yeah.
I wonder about the future of that show and whether or not Fantasmic in its new version is supposed to pick up the slack.
I will say this, there was not that much Pixar in this show. There was the brief Finding Nemo thing
That's
in the...
about it. Well,
and Woody and Jesse and the Army Men on the boat at the
They
end.
were added to the show, like...
Oh yeah, that's true.
Like, in the 90s anyway.
So maybe World of Color and DCA just becomes a Pixar show.
The Pixar and Fantasia 2000 show.
The Pixar and Fantasia 2000 Happy Comedy Hour.
Where people stare at the flying space whales and go, what movie is that from?
Well, the flying space whales were obviously a deleted scene from The Good Dinosaur. You know that.
Do I?
Actually, the Fantasmic show would have been a perfect opportunity to bring in the characters from Inside Out. Like, just there. Like maybe Joy is watching the dream as it's going on.
Or, gee, I don't know, maybe Figment? I'll let it go.
You shut your whore mouth.
I'll let it go.
Shut your whore mouth. Shut the camera.
Now, Disney. I'm very impressed with the fact that you have successfully improved the version of Fantasmic that did not need improving, but you made it better, and I'm proud of you for that. Now you need to improve the East Coast version of Fantasmic that does need improving, and there's only really one thing you need to do to make it right. Take out the Pocahontas sequence and put in a fucking Moana sequence.
Yep.
I don't care how cheap or how expensive it is. You could have a giant animatronic Tamatoa up there singing Shiny. You could have just one girl on the middle of the stage singing How Far I'll Go. You could have a Dwayne The Rock Johnson dancing around singing You're Welcome. You could have the boats sailing along singing We Know the Way. You could do any one scene, any two scenes, any combination of imagery from Moana just to fill that slot where the Pocahontas sequence is would make that show so much better. Disney, look inside your heart. Do the right thing.
Fight.
I concur. So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, we are 3 members of the Fantasmafia saying ba-la-ba-ba-da-ba, ba-la-da-ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba, ba-la-da-ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba, shake-a-down-down-wheel, shake-a-down-down-wheel. We're so exhausted, I go to sleep now.
Now I'll turn that little jerk's dream into a nightmare Fantasmic.
Title shot, take a drop.
Guys, I just had the weirdest dream that I was a nightmare Fantasmic.